good afternoon, good evening, good day to all. Welcome back. I see we are gradually approaching the end of this otherwise very fruitful summit that's been had for the last 2 days, said to be coming towards the end. I hope everyone had some time for lunch. I understand we had very little, few minutes for lunch, but hopefully you did manage to get a bite. As we proceed, I see that this whole day has been very fruitful. We started in the morning. We have truly crossed Africa, crisscrossed Africa. We were in the southern hemisphere early in the morning, and then we gradually moved towards the north. We started talking about AI. We started looking at quality in pharmacovigilance. We started introducing inspections, and now we are coming to East Africa. And the session for today is Emerging East Africa. And this is the case because we have two very experienced pharmacovigilantes with us who have had their own experience now in levels of inspections in East Africa. And with that, I want to invite a very dear friend. That's Lazare Intirangania. Lazare, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Lazare is the division manager for PV and safety monitoring, joining us from Rwanda, from the FDA. If I gave a brief background on Lazare, he's the division manager for PV and safety monitoring at Rwanda FDA. He's a holder of a bachelor's degree in pharmacy from the National University of Rwanda and a master's degree in public health methodology from Belgium. Currently, he heads a division at Rwanda FDA that includes different regulatory functions, mainly PV, clinical trial oversight, post-market surveillance, promotion and advertisement control. Lazare has a large amount of trainings, especially trainings in PV, clinical trials, translation medicines, pharmacometrics, assessment and registration of medical products. He has been involved in the establishment of different regulatory functions at the Rwanda FDA, and he has coordinated the development of different regulations as well as guidelines, especially those governing PV, clinical trials, post-market surveillance, promotion, as well as advertisement of regulated medicines and drugs. Lazare, bienvenue. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Moderator Jayesh, for this opportunity just to share a little bit on the overview of the pharmacovigilance system in Rwanda. And I will maybe request Margaret to help me to project the few slides that I have. And I think you can hear me well.
Yes, we can.
Yes?
Yes, we can. Yes, perfect.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. As introduced, of course, I'm Lazare Ntirenganya. I head the division of pharmacovigilance and safety monitoring at the Rwanda Food and Drugs Authority. And Rwanda FDA is a national medicine regulatory agency that was established in 2018. And in this presentation, I will be talking a little bit on the mandates of Rwanda Food and Drugs Authority according to the law that has established the agency. And I will again give you an overview on how pharmacovigilance system is structured in Rwanda. And here I will be focusing on key systems and the structure requirements as per WHO requirements. And the last slide of my presentation will include a brief on the establishment of African Medicine Agency. As you know, Rwanda is the host, was chosen as a country that will be hosting this continental agency, African Medicine Agency. So I will be giving a kind of brief or just information on establishment of this continental agency. So starting with the mandate of Rwanda Food and Drugs Authority, according to the law that has established the agency, it is mandated mainly to protect public health by ensuring quality, safety, and efficacy of regulated products. And when we say regulated products, Rwanda FDA has a wide scope of products, including human medicine, including medical device, including vaccines, including even food products, processed foods, and also chemical and household chemicals. So we ensure the quality, safety, and efficacy by implementing different regulatory functions. And we start with product evaluation and registration. We have also the premise licensing and inspection. We conduct also inspection and surveillance. Rwanda FDA also has the mandate to control import and export of regulated products. The agency has also the mandate to oversee and regulate clinical trials and inspect them. And we have a mandate also to conduct pharmacovigilance, post-marketing surveillance, laboratory analysis, promotion control, and also the agency disseminate information to different stakeholders, of course, towards the safe use of products, including medical products. So as you can see, Rwanda FDA has a wide mandate and also a wide scope of products. And as a new agency, we have developed the first different regulatory tools to guide and to govern the conduct of different regulatory functions. And reminding here that Rwanda FDA has the power to issue regulations and guidelines. And we have issued the different regulation and guidelines. And I think as the agency now is celebrating 5 years, we have made a lot just in the matters related to regulatory matters of different products here in the country. Next. So as I'm giving an overview and I'm talking about the mandate of Rwanda Food and Drugs Authority, I cannot miss just to share with participants that Rwanda FDA, even though it is a new agency, the agency has already started the process for WHO Global Benchmarking Tool Assessment, where we were formally benchmarked in the last year in December, of course, for 8 functions that were assessed. As you can see some results that we had in the last year of WHO GBT assessment. You see that 2 of over 8 functions that were assessed were found on operating on maturity level 3. That include clinical trial oversight function and laboratory testing, while the 6 other remaining regulatory functions that were assessed were found operating on maturity level 2 as per WHO Global Benchmarking Tool. So Rwanda FDA now currently we have received different institutional development plans, and we are working on them. And I think we are closing the cycle of the WHO Global Benchmarking Tool assessment. So the agency has different priorities. The first one is the attainment of maturity level 3 and the maturity level 4. Of course, as you can see, we are in the process. And as we are preparing also for vaccine manufacturing and lotteries, here reminding that BioNTech is establishing a vaccine manufacturing plant here in the country. And of course, Rwanda FDA is preparing for regulating the vaccine manufacturing and lotteries. So among the priorities of Rwanda FDA, we have also the certification of our quality control laboratory, but also we are also focusing on different collaboration, regional, international collaboration, and the partnership as a part of strengthening our regulatory system. Here I can say that we have already partnership with European Medicine Agency, some agencies in Europe, and we have partnership, for example, the French Regulatory Agency, the Germany, Lithuania, Sweden, and so on, through the project called European Union Twinning Project. And of course, at regional level, we have collaborations. We have signed the memorandum of understanding with TMDA in Tanzania, and we have also signed memorandum of understanding with Ghana FDA. So we are in this process of also strengthening our regional and international collaboration towards just capacitating and strengthening the regulatory system in Rwanda. Next. So as you have seen on the outline of my presentation, I have also to give you an overview on how the pharmacovigilance system is structured here in the country. Even though the agency is new, but we are doing our best to fulfill the key requirements as per WHO, just to have a fully functional pharmacovigilance system. We have already a division in charge of pharmacovigilance, and we have also a spontaneous reporting system that is functional, where we have different reporting tools. We have both paper-based, but also we have launched online reporting system called PVIMS, of course, on support of ESID, MTAPS project. We have recently also launched the VG Mobile as a part of the reporting tools that will be used for adverse event following immunization. Rwanda FDA has also a database as per the requirements, and of course, we have access to VIGFLO and VIGBase as international database of adverse events. The agency has 2 advisory committee or technical committees. We have one of pharmacovigilance advisory committee, which is a multidisciplinary committee composed by different specialties, medical doctors, pharmacologists, clinical pharmacists, we have toxicologists, and so on. And this advisory committee was established 3 years ago, and it advised the authority in matters related to the safety of medicines. But also, we have another committee that is National Adverse Event Following Immunization Committee that supports the agency in conduct of causality assessment, especially for serious adverse event following immunization. And this committee, for both committees, Rwanda FDA is the secretariat, but for the one on adverse event following immunization, Rwanda FDA, together with expanded the program for immunization, we are the secretariat of the committee. So as a part of the key requirements for pharmacovigilance, we have different communication strategy where the agency started issuing annually on annual basis a medicine safety bulletin that aggregates key information on achieved or completed activities on pharmacovigilance. We have also different communication that we use to issue to health professionals, patients, and others, especially we have direct healthcare communication and so on. So we are just starting or trying to fulfill all requirements so that we can have the fully functional pharmacovigilance system in country. Next. So as a part of the key processes that we have in pharmacovigilance here in Rwanda, as Rwanda FDA, according to our regulation and guidelines, we monitor the adverse drug events, adverse drug reaction, and adverse event following immunization, where we receive reports, we analyze them as per our procedures, and then we can report also to through VGFlow, but also we started giving some feedback to reporters. We have also some processes for signal detection, investigation, prioritization, and assessment. And we have a specific procedure for signal management in general, where signals are received and they are analyzed and prioritized, but also assessed for regulatory actions. We have also, according to our regulation and guidelines, the process for risk management plan, receiving also periodic safety update reports and periodic benefit reports. We have also in regulation, provision of our regulation, the conduct of pharmacovigilance inspection, where we started conducting some, especially for marketing authorization. And we have a specific, of course, procedure and tools used for pharmacovigilance inspection. The authority in pharmacovigilance, we issue also medicine safety information, as I was saying, but also monitor some medication errors where we have specific tools to receive reports on medication errors from health facilities. And as part of this, also we receive reports on substandard and falsified medical products. So as some achievements that we have just developed and implemented a special safety surveillance plan, especially on COVID-19 vaccines, where, as you know, different vaccines were authorized through emergency pathway. For example, here in Rwanda, we authorized around 8 different vaccines that were used. That's why we have developed a special safety surveillance plan for those vaccines. But also, we had conducted a special surveillance on Ebola vaccine. As you know, in Democratic Republic of Congo, in 2019, there was an outbreak of Ebola virus disease, and we have protected our population with new vaccine on Ebola, and we have made a special surveillance on them, and where we were monitoring different recipients of vaccines and see if there are some signals. So we have already some centenary sites and that are already established, some active surveillance that are being conducted countrywide. For example, the one on dolutegravir-based regimen and the one on praziquantel and albendazole, just to gather more evidence, pharmacovigilance evidence, to guide our regulatory decision. The agency in pharmacovigilance is investing effort in training different health professionals, medical doctors, pharmacists, nurses, so that they can be capacitated and be aware on the different reporting tools and how events can be detected and reported. And we have also trained different teams, of course, on investigation of serious adverse events and vaccine safety monitoring. And I was saying that as among of increasing, of course, the reporting pathway, we have initiated recently the VG Mobile for reporting of adverse event following immunization. Next. So, as I said in the outline, just, you know, that at the African continental level, African Medicine Agency, we have the headquarters here in Kigali. And as a background and maybe a little bit reminder, you know that in 2019, there was an adoption of the treaty for the establishment of African Medicine Agency. And in 2021 is where now the treaty was came into force, and the treaty establishing the African Medicine Agency as a special agency of the African Union. If you can see the information and objective of the African Medicine Agency is to enhance, first of all, the capacity of state parties and also regional economic communities to regulate medical products in order to improve access to quality, safe, and efficacious medical products on the continent. Of course, the agency has a well-detailed role and responsibilities that will be played, of course, in matters related to regulation of medical products, where it will be facilitating the sustained continental-wide harmonization of technical standards and processes, and also will be, of course, sustaining ongoing regulatory harmonization initiative at the continental level. So, as you can see on the right side, the African Medicine Agency will have different organs, including the Conference of the State Parties, that will be the highest policymaking organ of the African Medicine Agency. It will have also a governing board. It will have also the secretariat, but also technical committees. And I think technical committees will be, of course, aligned to different regulatory functions. And I think as members from continental level, we will need to support the agency so that it can be fully functional and supporting different states at African level to have our regulatory system strengthened and sustained. So that was a very short brief on the African Medicine Agency. And I think this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Lazara. This was truly very informative. We've been getting questions since morning on how does this all come together, because we've been talking about East, West, North, South Africa, and what about the Africa Medicines Agency? So thank you for bringing this into perspective. I have some questions that are upcoming, but let's first take the opportunity of calling in our colleague, Dr. Elirehma Finanga from Tanzania. Welcome, Eli. Dr. Elirehma is the National Coordinator of Safety Monitoring of Vaccines and Medicines at the TMDA. That's the Tanzania Medicines and Medical Devices Authority. Eli is an experienced public health physician with over 13 years of experience in patient care, safety monitoring of medicines and vaccines, clinical development of vaccines, and regulatory affairs. Currently, he is serving as the National Coordinator for the Safety Monitoring of Vaccines and Medicines at TMDA. And you can see by default, he plays a very crucial role in ensuring the safety and efficacy of medicines and vaccines in Tanzania. Eli's expertise includes developing PV systems, assessing of PSURs, risk management plans, PAS, that's post-authorization safety studies, as well as causality assessment and planning of PV activities. With this wide and diverse experience and his expertise and dedication to public health, Eli is definitely at the forefront of ensuring the safety and efficacy of medicines and vaccines in Tanzania. Eli, you are most welcome. Give us a brief update on Tanzania and especially your experience and learnings with PV inspections. Welcome, karibu sana. Eli, we can't hear you. I can't hear you. Tech support, can you hear Eli?
Hi, Dr. Eli. Can you try and use a different plugin or remove your earphones and speak? Because I can hear people in the background, but I can't hear you necessarily. Can you speak? Can you say hello? Select earphone as mic.
I like those. What I do right now? Yes.
So while we're trying to get Dr. Eli to talk about, to get his earphones and his mic ready, thank you very much, Jayesh, for a lovely session with Dr. Lazare. Very interesting to hear what Rwanda is doing and where it's going to go from an harmonization point of view. You're on mute.
Ellie, can you give us a couple of words so we know if we can hear you now? No, we can't. So can I suggest, Ellie, let tech support help you out. And in the meantime, maybe I can ask a couple of questions to Lazar. Right? Tech support, if you can help Ellie, please. And bring Lazar. Lazar, welcome back.
Yes, I can hear. Yes.
Great. Sorry to bring you back so quickly.
Yes,
but
no
as
problem.
we handle that, I had a couple of questions. I mean, you've really brought it all together. We now know where AMA stands, where Rwanda stays. Any thoughts about harmonization of PV activities as well as looking at joint inspections as a continent, right? If we look at Africa together. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so thank you very much, Jayesh, for the question. I think that as part of the harmonization of regulatory system, of course, among the processes for joint inspection, there will be, they can be among the key functions and the processes for pharmacovigilance to be organized at the continental, regional level. And as you can see, we can have different, of course, different modalities for organizing joint inspection, because different regulatory agencies are at different levels. We have already national medicine regulatory agencies operating at maturity level 3, meaning that they are at a good level where they can even provide some guidance and capacity building for peers from other maybe new or young regulatory agencies. So I think also on the side of inspectees, meaning marketing authorization holder, it can be an opportunity for them just to for proper time management and also proper regulatory actions, because once the joint inspection will be organized, conducted, a joint regulatory actions can be taken by each participating regulatory agency. So I think as pharmacovigilance inspection is among the function that is not conducted by all agencies, it's an opportunity just for harmonizing or organizing some joint initiative inspections so that all agencies can learn from that processes or learn from peers coming from the advanced or regulatory agency operating already on maturity level 3, and also, of course, uplifting those new agencies and taking appropriate regulatory actions from those pharmacovigilance inspection. So that's my thought. But of course, it will also require some joint regulatory documents so that we can have almost a similar provision in our regulations, our guideline, and it is an opportunity also to apply some reliance or recognition procedures also on pharmacovigilance side or pharmacovigilance inspection side. Thank you.
Thank you, Lazar. I do have an additional question, but I believe we now have Ellie back with us. Ellie, can you hear me? Can you say a couple of words?
Yes, Jayesh, I can hear you.
Super, welcome. So Ellie, I've already introduced you and the floor is yours. Take us with your experience in Tanzania on inspections. Karibu sana.
Okay, thank you very much, Jayesh, and thank you everybody for organizing this wonderful platform and this wonderful training. It's wonderful experience. As Jaish is rightly introducing, I'm Dr. Eli Raymond Finanga, and I'm coming from Tanzania, where I work with the Tanzania Medicine and Medical Devices Authority in a section responsible for pharmacovigilance system in Tanzania. And I'm going to share with you our experience on the inspection for marketing authorization holder as part of strengthening the pharmacovigilance system. And also, I would like to acknowledge that this topic was very well covered by my colleagues in the previous sessions, and therefore I'm very happy that they made an excellent groundwork for my presentation. Next slide. So I'm going to share with you an overview of pharmacovigilance system for marketing authorization holder, and on what the purpose for the marketing authorization holder, for inspection of marketing authorization holder, the approach and the tools that we use. So also also we are going to share the lessons that we have learned during the inspection of the for marketing authorization holder, and the way forward, and also the conclusion. So the pharmacovigilance system, as we all know, that it plays a critical role to ensure that there is safety of products, the medicines which are circulating in the market. And also pharmacovigilance system has many different stakeholders which are critical to ensure that these products are safe and that we are protecting the public health. One of the key stakeholder is the marketing stakeholder. These are required by law to ensure that the products that they are placing in the market, they are safe, but also they have the required system to ensure that there is optimal system for ensuring the safety of the products in the market. And that is to ensure that there is the adequate and the functional pharmacovigilance system in the country. But also we have different regulations, and also we have different regulatory tools. So regulation inspection also ensure that the market authorization holder, they are complying with those stipulated regulations, and they are applying to the requirements. And their overall, as we said, is just to ensure that there is safety, there is ensured safety of the products which are in the market and which are used by the public. So the pharmacovigilance system is conducted to ensure that the market authorization holder, they are aware of their regulatory obligations, but also they are also complying to these stipulated requirements. And then the inspection includes review of the systems, and this includes the premises, records management, documentations, and also overall pharmacovigilance system, including the pharmacovigilance system master file, but also the personnel and the infrastructure of the pharmacovigilance system to ensure that the systems is available, but also is functional, but also is supportive of the pharmacovigilance system overall. And the pharmacovigilance system, the pharmacovigilance inspection findings, they help not only the market authorization holder, but also they help also the regulatory authority to understand the perception of the market authorization holder, but also to identify various gaps which needs to be strengthened in order to ensure that each component of the pharmacovigilance system is functional. And the overall goal is to ensure that the subject or the patient or the public is protected. And and also it also you look at the data accuracy, but also to identify compliance. But also when there is a need, regulatory authority can use the inspection findings to enforce different actions. And this especially for non-compliance or for findings that seems to put public at risk. This included warnings, suspension, or revocation of the market authorization order where necessary. But also it helps to improve continuous, it also to ensure there's a continuous improvement, and also there is ensure that there is compliance to past marketing obligations. So the pharmacovigilance system in Tanzania, as we know, for those who are not aware, Tanzania Medicines and Medical Device Authority is the regulatory authority in Tanzania, which has been established by the Act since 2003. And according to this Act, the Act states on the specific requirements for market authorization order, and this is one of the, and pharmacovigilance system is one of the those requirements. Specifically, Section 23 of the regulations also mandate that all market authorization orders in Tanzania and also the manufacturer should take proactive responsibility for the continuous safety monitoring of the products they put in the market. So having the regulation and also having the act, these are very important because they give the legal mandate to regulation of the medicines in Tanzania, specifically for pharmacovigilance, and therefore this gives mandate to TMDA to ensure that the pharmacovigilance system, but also the market authorization order, they are also obliged to these requirements, but also it gives us power even for conducting the inspection. So in addition to the pharmacovigilance, in addition to the act, we also have the regulation and also specifically section 29 of the regulation. Also, it states clearly that the authority shall inspect any manufacturer or market authorization holder and the pharmaceutical facilities at all reasonable times for the purpose of ensuring compliance with good pharmacovigilance practice and compliance to these regulations. So it also gives the scope of the inspection, which also include the pharmacovigilance safety master file, also includes and the inspection also can also include to any firm that has been employed by the market authorization holder to perform various activities such as subcontracted companies. So having the regulation, this puts the very clear groundwork and therefore puts both the regulatory authority and also the market authorization holder in one page. Therefore, each stakeholder can understand what are they are required, what are the responsibilities and the roles. So in addition to the regulation, we also have various guidelines which provide more which provide more clear guidance on how and what is expected of the pharmacovigilance system, but specifically on the inspection of the pharmacovigilance system. So here we mentioned we have harmonized East Africa Harmonized Compendium on Safety and Vigilance of Medical Products and Health Technologies of 2019, and this is one of the products of the harmonization efforts in East African countries, where East African countries since 2019 they sat together and developed this the guideline, and this guideline is used by all member states of the East African countries, and therefore this is one excellent example on how the harmonization efforts they are working. And not only assist us as the regulators, but also the market authorization order across East African countries. But in addition, as the country, we have also developed other tools. This include inspection manual, and also we have the inspection checklist, but also we have the inspection template, which helps in training the inspectors on how the conduct of the inspection of the market authorization order should be conducted in, how to grade the inspection findings, and how to approach the inspection for pharmacovigilance system. So inspection of the pharmacovigilance system, how we approached it, we first required all the market authorization holder to nominate individuals with the required knowledge and the required technical expertise to become as their QPPV. But also we also conducted various trainings to market authorization to this QPPV to equip them or to make them familiarized with the pharmacovigilance systems. And also we developed various tools for conducting the inspection. So the inspection, as is known, there are pre-authorization inspection, which is conducted prior to the authorization, post-marketing, prior to market authorization of the product. But also there are post-authorization inspection, and any post-authorization inspection, there's inspection which is conducted related to the product, or there can also be a routine inspection, or investigative, or also this also is known as for cause inspection. But also there is a reinspection which is conducted after the inspection has been conducted, after the initial inspection has been conducted. Therefore, any activity which needs to be thoroughly, which needs to be conducted with good results, it needs to be well planned. Therefore, inspection requires that planning of the inspection, on where are you going to inspect, informing the market authorization holder who are going to be inspected, and all other logistic planning, including ensuring that you have required tools for conducting your inspection. And then you conduct the implementation. Thereafter, you conduct the analysis of the findings and the evaluation, and then you provide feedback to the market authorization holder or to the community where this is necessary. So how we approach the inspection, we have to go to the stages of notifying and preparation, notifying the market authorization holder on the date of the inspection, especially for the routine inspection, and also to identify the inspection teams, also the team leaders, but also this inspection also needs to the market authorization needs to be officially notified through a letter or official email. And also, so when you approach the inspection, you have to we do the opening meeting where we share the declaration of the scope and the method of the inspection, but also the familiarization of the inspection, the procedures. And then the inspection is conducted, where this inspection usually includes interviews of the personnel, and also review of the document, and also the demonstration of the various processes which are conducted by the market authorization holder and the pharmacovigilance personnel, and also the tour of the premise, and also the infrastructure such as the computerized systems and the other applicable structures for support the pharmacovigilance system. At the end of the inspection, we conduct an exit meeting where we share the inspection findings in a very harmonious way, and we discuss and also agree on the inspection findings, and also on the timelines for CAPA submission. And thereafter there's a submission of the CAPA and of the full report, and therefore, and also for the next step is for the market authorization holder is expected to submit to the CAPA and their plans for corrective actions. So the inspection findings, they are graded depending on their risk, into critical, major, and minor. So what we found from our inspection, that we found that some of the market holders that were inspected had lacked sufficient personnel to support the system, the pharmacovigilance system, but also some had a lack of infrastructure to support the pharmacovigilance system, or there is poor documentation or poor submission according to the poor submission of PSUR or ICCR according to the timelines which are stipulated in the regulations and the guidelines. And so in conclusion, so these inspection findings, they've not only helped us, but also they've not only helped the market research holder to understand their gaps, but also regulators for us also to sit together to clarify on the various requirements on the regulations and the guidelines, but also help us to design various trainings for market authorization holders and their QPPV so that we strengthen them and we develop their capacity so that they can sufficiently conduct, they can sufficiently conduct the pharmacovigilance system in their companies. Thank you very much for this wonderful time, and this is the end of my presentation. Thank you. Yes, I think you're muted.
Sorry for that. I go back to my initial words. Very informative presentation. Thank you. You kept your time. So we should be also able to finish in time. Ellie, I have a quick question for you. Do we have, how have you structured the PV inspections for the local manufacturers? Is it at the same level as how you would grade the multinationals? And if you have any experience on that already?
Yes. So how we approached the inspection, we conducted the risk-based to identify the products which are more at risk. But in terms of the grading of the inspection findings, the grading is exactly the same for foreign market authorization holders as well as the local market authorization holders.
Okay, great. No, good. Because I think that's the right way forward, so that everyone has a level playing field and everyone is evaluated in kind of the same way. Thank you. If I can call upon Lazara again. Lazara, we have a couple of questions for you. This is a question that's come in from Dennis. There are currently only 26 state parties who are part of the Africa Medicines Agency, which is less than half of the African states. Can you elaborate on initiatives that you may be aware of to encourage or bring on board the other 29 states? And with that, how long do you estimate that it will take for AMA to operate? And how long will it take for them to operate in the interim? And of course, this will affect the harmonization between the states and especially for PV. I know you are not AMA, but you being very close to the AMA based in Rwanda, if you have some insights that can truly help Dennis understand this, please.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think for the question of Dennis, I will not have a straight answer, but I can just give some elements of the answer. First of all, African Medicine Agency as a continental agency, we have already 26 state parties that have already signed and deposed their treaty just to ratify the establishment of African Medicine Agency. And I think different sensitization will be done to the remaining countries. And I think also as the agency will be starting and will be operating and supporting different agencies, other countries will be seeing the just importance and also the added value to be member of this continental agency. So I think that maybe that is at a higher level, but at the different meetings at the continental level, I think they will be sensitizing different countries that have not yet ratified to be part of the member of the this African Medicine Agency. So on timelines, I know that they are on the final stage. And of course, the office is ready waiting for the CEO to be nominated here in Kigali, and the other maybe senior members of the agency. And I think I cannot say that it will be when, because I'm not aware really precisely when the agency will start operating. But what I know is that it is at the end stage of preparation. And as you can understand, the office is ready waiting for the senior managers, including the CEO, to be nominated, of course, by African Union.
Thank you. Thank you, Lazare. Maybe as a parting shot to both of you, we've heard from all the different angles, and in the previous session, you could have also heard that whenever an inspection is called, the inspectee freaks out, right? They get scared, and of course they are concerned. Are we ready? Are we not? But at the same time, I want to turn the table a little around. I'm sure it is not very easy for you as well as health authorities to conduct inspections, right? As much as we take it for granted. What are the challenges that you as health authorities face when you want to conduct health inspections, PV inspections? Lazare, starting with you, maybe?
Okay, thank you very much, Jayesh. Of course, as Rehema has well explained the whole processes, and that is in line with our safety and vigilance guideline that was developed at East African level. And among the challenges that we have as regulatory agencies, of course, you know, some marketing authorization holders, as you say, sometimes are not ready because their system are not well organized, and they want to move or to push, to postpone, maybe. But what I think is that this is the benefit for both regulators and marketing authorization holder. But the ultimate goal is to ensure the safety of medical products that are being produced by a given marketing authorization holder. So sometimes you can have some products that are maybe sometimes complex. And for example, you can have, when inspecting a marketing authorization holder, some signals that were not investigated deeply to see the end. And some do not have really accurate data or the system to monitor the safety of their products. So those are some challenges where you will not finding the data that are just needed for the pharmacovigilance inspection, so that you can take a kind of evidence-based regulatory decision. So those are some, and you know that some agencies, like new agencies, have issue of capacity building in terms of pharmacovigilance inspection and the shortage of staff. That's also some challenges, so that we can work accurately, plan accurately, conduct, and also keep timelines for reporting, and also just monitor the collective actions that were proposed by marketing authorization holder. So those are some challenges that we can face as regulators. that I can be complimented by Senior Elihema. Thank you.
Yes, very well put, Lazare. Elihema, on to you now.
Thank you, Jayesh, and thank you, Lazare, for I think Lazare has said almost everything. I think one of the challenges that we face as the regulators is one is obviously, I think, is misunderstanding on what's the purpose of the inspection. The inspection actually is not only it's not to find some problems to the side of the market of the shareholder and then to punish them, but also it targets in ensuring that there is a compliance, which at the final goal is to protect the public. And therefore, because of this misunderstanding, sometimes they push it, or they are always, sometimes they are always not ready, and this becomes very difficult for the regulators side to properly planning. But also, many regulators also they experience the challenges in terms of expertise in conducting pharmacovigilance system, especially for complex products such as vaccines or biosimilar products. And I think if you look other products like small molecules, which can somehow is straightforward, but for complex products, and this is somehow area which also I think needs proper capacity building and strengthening in how to approach these products. But otherwise, it's a learning process both ways for market shareholders and also for regulators. But also, we are sure that with the right approach and the right collaboration, we will get there. And one of the two is working together as regional levels, East Africa, as Lazare said, that we are working together. And I think with this with this approach, and also some of these and the training like this, I think is going to assist us also in the right direction. Thank you.
Brilliantly put, Elihema. I fully agree that the intention should not be punitive. It's not there just to keep chapping the whip on anyone. But the point is, one, to learn from each other and to truly keep the patient in the prime focus in all our activities. And hearing that, I truly believe that we have a good future for PV in Africa. Thank you. To both of you, we come to the end of this session. Elihema and Lazare, it's been a pleasure to have you on this panel. I've learned a lot. I'm sure the entire audience has also learned a lot. Due to time, we won't be able to pick the other questions because everyone knows we had a very short, if any, lunch break. So I want to give everybody that time. But thank you so very much. And with that, just before we jump to the coffee break and then bring in the final session for the day, I have the singular pleasure of bringing on board and introducing to you the moderator for the next session. This is Comfort Ogar Suku. Comfort is a very close friend of ours, a very experienced PV expert. Comfort currently is the global safety consultant with the WHO on the novel oral polio type 2 vaccine. Comfort, when you come in, if you can even talk a little about this so that we in Africa know what's happening. And Comfort is a global safety consultant with the WHO. Prior to her work with WHO, she was a principal technical advisor and pharmacovigilance lead for the USAID-funded MTAPS, Medicine Technologies and Pharmaceutical Services Program, that's led by MSH, Management Science Aid for Health, where Comfort directly supported low and middle income countries in Africa and Asia to establish or strengthen their regulatory systems with a particular focus on PV systems. Comfort has worked as a regulator as well, so you know how comfortable she was whenever Nigeria was being brought up. So she's had an over 18-year experience at NAFDAC, where she was instrumental to establish Nigeria's national PV system. And a super job done over there as well. Comfort is also currently the secretary to ISOP. So you heard in the morning as I introduced ISOP. ISOP is the International Society of Pharmacovigilance. Within ISOP, we also have ISOP Africa chapter, that's ISOP Africa. And Comfort is the Africa chapter head's secretary currently. She is blessed with 2 children and she loves traveling and mountain biking. So I hope Comfort, the organizers of the Afri Summit, are hearing this, that you love traveling and mountain biking. So our next PV Summit should be a face-to-face so that you can travel as well as bike.
And I hope it will. Thank you, Jayesh. And I hope it will be in Kenya so I can get the opportunity to have a ride with you over those mountains.
More than happy to host you.
Thank you.
Super. So we are taking a quick break now. Madre, is that correct? Yes. So let's come back at the top of the hour. If I can encourage everyone to come back 5 or 10 minutes earlier, would be great. And that way Comfort can also talk to us a little about the OPV2.
All right. Jayesh, let me confirm.
In a world that's always changing, there's one thing that remains constant: our desire to make a difference.
The Health in Your Hands campaign is a very important one because it gives a vision for the whole team. And if you have a vision as a company that the employees can follow, you will be successful.
Everyday well-being and health is really important for everyone. We have a right to know all the information to manage our health and well-being.
Health in Your Hands is useful, and I appreciate that it's supported by the company.
We've always been about giving back, answering the need, a bold vision for the future, delivering the best products for a global community.
The consumer is the most important priority that we have in our work, because we need to learn what the consumer needs.
This year, we initiate the first e-labeling for Sanofi's nutraceutical products. Then they can scan the QR and then find out the information on the website.
Every day, our heroes are making it happen, from runners pounding the pavement to those who find solace in nature, to yogis who seek balance.
To prioritize self-care, first of all, you need to understand that you are in the driver's seat. On the one hand, you have the body and the fitness and the sport aspect. And on the other side, there is mental health and the mental aspect.
After the work, I spend at least 1 hour with some activity, for example, running, cycling, or just only walking with my baby. I like the work-life balance.
I'm still learning to set boundaries, to prioritize my health. Because if I'm not, I can't show up for the others and I can't prioritize my health.
We're here to help people help themselves. So let's join forces. Let's make a difference.
Join the mission.
Join the mission.
All right, everyone. Welcome back from the break and welcome to the last and hopefully the most exciting session for today and for the summit. So we're going into the new generation vaccine surveillance session, and we'll hopefully have around 75 minutes for this session. For this session, as introduced by Jayesh just before we went on break, my name is Comfort Ogar, and just a little update. Since doing the bio for this summit, I have joined the United States Pharmacopoeia as a senior pharmacovigilance manager. So that's a little update on my bio. And then before we also go into the session, I wanted to encourage all participants to please take time to fill out the survey that was sent and stand a chance, of course, of winning one of our offerings for taking the survey. So for this session, I have two speakers that will be talking to us. At the end of each session or each presentation, we'll give a few minutes of questions, and then we'll have a third speaker who will join a panel with the other two speakers, and we'll have a panel discussion, after which we'll also take questions from participants. So to get us started in this session, I'm delighted to welcome Dr. Dale Nordenberg, who will be our first speaker for the session. Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Dale, for being here. We can see you. And so let me introduce you properly. Dr. Dale Nordenberg, simply known as Dale, is the CEO of Thrive AI and Executive Director of Medical Device Innovations Safety Security Consortium. And we're thankful to Dale for sponsoring the survey that's been going out. So if you are a recipient of any of the gifts from today, please know that it's coming from Thrive AI, and we're very delighted for that. So Dale is a physician executive and medical epidemiologist with board certifications in pediatrics and medical informatics. He has his career focus has been on accelerating innovation at the intersection of digital health and science. Dr. Nordenberg serves as the digital transformation lead for the Safety Platform for Emergency Vaccines, SPEAK program, which is funded by the Coalition for Pandemic Innovation, CEPI, at the Brighton Collaboration and Task Force for Global Health. He is the founder and CEO of Thrive AI, a new population health company dedicated to safe medical technology. Thrive was awarded an Intel Innovations Fund grant for its COVID-19 Community Rapid Response Hub that enables community-based organizations to support their members' health and wellness during the pandemic, specifically addressing health disparities. He served as a member of the Health Information Technology Standards Federal Advisory Committee of the U.S. Health and Human Services and the FDA's National Evaluation System for Technology Planning Board. Dr. Dale has a long, very impressive CV with a lot of work that he's done in different committees and subcommittees. And in the interest of time, I'll say he also received a BSc in microbiology from the University of Michigan. His medical degree is from the Northwestern University, which he completed in pediatrics at McGill University in Montreal Children's Hospital, and his fellowship in epidemiology and public health in the Epidemic Intelligence Services program at the Centers for Disease Control with a focus on big data. So Dale is very big on data and informatics, and we're delighted to have him speak to us today about the benefit risk assessment tool and how that can support pharmacovigilance activities and safety surveillance for vaccines. So Dale, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Comfort. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you today, and I'd like to start by thanking AfriSummit and Comfort for making this possible. We are a company that is dedicated to many philanthropic activities and many not-for-profit public health activities. This includes the activity that we're supporting today, which is related to pharmacovigilance of vaccine safety. We're building the digital systems to support SPEAK, which is the safety platform for emergency vaccines, and that's funded under CEPI. What we are working on right now today is a benefit risk assessment digital platform, essentially a software package that would reside or does reside in the cloud, and this is going to be open source. So today we're going to share with you a little bit about what we've done. We actually have some results hot off the survey that we're going to share as well. And it would be really wonderful if people can help with the survey, because we can use the results to gather resources so that we could continue to build the open source platform for principally for people in lower middle income countries. So with that, let me go through some of the results, and then let me do a brief demo of the current platform. One of the things we really want to do is we want input from people like you as we go to the next phase of the platform development. So very quickly, some of these results are quite interesting, but over 50% of the people that were surveyed indicated that they are doing benefit risk assessments for both vaccines and for medicines. This is an indication that clinical trials and marketing authorization and also post-marketing authorization are almost equal in terms of the different stages of vaccine or medicine development where it's applied. Most of the people that responded were from a national regulatory authority, and the type of methods or frameworks that people have been using include mostly BRAT, which is a qualitative framework, and here are the other two frameworks that are about a quarter of the people who responded, PROACT and also UMBRA. And from a quantitative framework perspective, right, it was mostly the NNT method with some also from MCDA. Now, well, we won't go into the specific methods today. We're going to just share some of these results, and we're going to do some of the demo. And again, encourage everybody who has not had a chance to please take 10 minutes to complete the survey. We will share the survey results with everybody who has completed the survey. And this is one of the really important things. We really want to understand what tools people are using for the purposes of doing benefit risk, if they're doing benefit risk. And it turns out, as we expect, that most people are using Excel. And we asked if it would be helpful to have an open source platform that people could use to do benefit risk assessments. And it's exciting to see that most respondents, almost 90%, felt that it would be useful. We asked what frameworks people are using, organizations are using to do the benefit risk assessment. And you can see there's 70%, 58%, 60%. So somewhere between 60 and 70% are using one or more of these well-known frameworks from these well-known leading organizations. The platform today is mostly incorporating an FDA model, but again, there's a lot of overlap between these, and with input from people and organizations, we can actually add different frameworks or models quite easily. And then the question is here, how many BRAs, benefit risk assessments, did your organization do in the last year, or did you participate in the last year? And it's it's exciting to see that many places, almost 60+%, 60-70% are actually doing benefit risk assessments. And this question is addressing, well, why are you not doing more, whether you haven't done any or whether you want to do more? What are the barriers? I apologize, some of this text is cut off, but we can see basically that there's insufficient resources, or people are too busy, which is another way of saying insufficient resources. Training was identified as a need in 36% of the cases. Lack of staff, which again is going back to resources. So really, the vast majority of the reason is resource dependent, but with a nice tick here around the need for some training. In this question, oops, did not want to advance that. In this one, it's which organizations are currently doing the BRAs, and this is the national regulatory authorities. Which is the best description of your current role. So these are the safety assessors or pharmacovigilance leads, and this is not so interesting. So again, thank everybody. I want to again thank everybody for sharing your time and for completing those surveys. I'm going to flip into right now a brief demo of the platform. Okay. Okay. So this is this is just about the opening screen. Again, this is a prototype that is fully functional. And we're pausing on further development until we can get input from the most important end users, people like yourselves. So in this case, what we did is we took data that was available from myocarditis as an outcome for the mRNA COVID vaccines in males. And again, I'll go through this quickly so you get a flavor for what the platform looks like. This would become an alternative to Excel, which is what most organizations are using today. Let me give credit to Bennett Levitan, who is the physician scientist at J&J, who was co-leading with others the development of this platform. There is a paper that's being published, and as soon as it's available, we can send it out to everybody who's completed a survey. It's an excellent paper done by a working group of about 15 different people who are experts from regulatory authorities, from industry and other organizations. The first section here is decision content. On the left-hand side, you can see the different sections that are available for the benefit risk assessment. One thing that's very important is that, as you'll see, the way the benefit risk assessment platform works is it allows you to take data that you've collected and the basic analysis of that data and use this platform to then contextualize the data, meaning to explain the methods that were used, to explain the sources of data, strengths and weaknesses. You're able to document all of this in the platform in a structured way, consistent with the national regulatory authorities and the other frameworks that have been promoted by organizations. And then the platform supports the development of visualizations in a very facile way, and you can look at visualizations across a lot of different substratifications or stratifications of the data, and that's what we're going to go through quite quickly. So here, decision context, this is where you put in essentially the metadata around the benefit risk assessment. One thing that's very important is that it is possible to use the benefit risk assessment not just to do an analysis of data that you've collected, but you can actually use the platform to plan your benefit risk analysis by entering data around, as you'll see, context, endpoints, and other such things. The other function here, in addition to reporting, is reviewing. So once it's all completed, you can share this with colleagues, and they could and then make comments and make contributions. So here, the vaccine, topics of interest. Okay. Disease, treatment, and treatment topics. Okay. Nature of the condition, existing vaccines and therapies.
Hi. Sorry, Jill. Are you doing the demo? We're not seeing. What we're seeing is the slide for prize for the survey. Is that what you're sharing?
Nope. I was sharing my screen.
We had it for a brief moment and then it went off.
I see.
Yes, now we can see it.
Okay, very good. So, sure, thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so very briefly, this is the way we started. Clicked on the analysis that we're going to review. I was reviewing decision context, so you can see the different types of metadata that you can enter. Okay, disease topics. Again, this is the context for the study. It puts versus, compared to Excel, this allows you to capture all the key metadata around the study that you want to do. It supports the selection of any number of endpoints and value and to create a value tree, which we'll see just in a moment. Here are some of the endpoints that you can see: hospitalization, ICU admission, death, and you can just keep adding these as much as you want or need to. You look at the risks. You could look here at the value tree that gets created in real time as you add those items. Okay. Here in this section, data sources and statistical methods, you can see that you can add an unlimited number of data sources very easily. You can then describe the role of this particular data source in doing the benefit risk assessment. Here, FDA manuscript was used to capture rates of myocarditis. Here's the CDC report, meta-analysis of myocarditis. And these are all explained and contained here as source data sources, okay? You can enter in here the data from the basic analysis. Okay, so you're entering in data that's been processed related to the vaccine, whether they got the vaccine, they didn't get the vaccine, the point estimate, et cetera. And you could do this, and you can stratify this by different subgroups. So here, this is males 16 to 17 years of age. Here, this is important. You can use the platform to do modeling. This is the base rate that was done based on a specific year, but you can also model and say what happens if the rate of exposure is 1/3 the base rate, for example. Okay, so you can start to model out different ways that the population is experiencing the exposure to the vaccine going forward. And here you can see over here, this is table 5 of 9, and there are, in this case, a total of 9 tables looking at different age groups, different cohorts, different base rates, et cetera, that allow you to get a feel for what is going on. Here, we're moving into the issue of risks and mitigations. And again, just quickly, sharing that you can stratify this, again, by any number of ways. And in this case, we're looking at hospitalizations, ICU, myocarditis, and death. Go back to here, you can see that that essentially it is formatted and structured to be quite similar. So when you're moving from benefits to risks and mitigations, that you can stay well oriented, and unlike something like Excel, which doesn't capture these in a structured way, you can easily lose track, and you can easily lose the ability to go back and see what you actually were doing. Clinical impact and weighting. This gives you the ability to determine which characteristics of the benefit risk assessment you want to give more weight to or less weight to, and this allows you to use different prioritization or weighting methodologies. One of the more interesting pieces of the platform is the ability of the platform to do the visualizations, and this maybe many people believe is the most valuable piece of this, because a lot of the benefit risk assessments are qualitative in nature, and you can really look at the charts and get a feel for what you're seeing in terms of, again, comparing your benefits and your risks. We can and should be able to see a couple of other. Okay, so there is the ability to look at other types of views here by the different subgroups. I'm looking up in the top bar there. And again, should be able to adjust the base rate, which changes the results, right? That's the transmission rate. And we can also look at multiple charts, multiple subgroups at the same time. And again, working with people like yourselves, we would love to get more requirements, more input about how to structure this so that it's easy for people to derive benefit from. Okay. Now, just the final point, the final piece here that I wanted to share is that at the end of all of this, after all these data have been entered in, it's possible at the end to essentially do your summary of the benefit risk assessment. And this captures the insights that were gathered from completing this. Okay. So with that, I'd like to, I guess, conclude my talk and look forward to answering questions when the Q&A is being moderated by Comfort. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Dale, for that very wonderful demo that you did. And I like the fact that you were able to share the results of the survey and what we're seeing, people responding and expressing as they need. So it's quite encouraging to see that people have the need for training, what tools people are using. We can see a lot of the tools people are using, and also there are quite a number of NRAs are not doing a benefit risk assessment, or at least in the last 1 year or so, as they indicated, there's not been any benefit risk assessment. So it's interesting to see all of that you've shown. I think a key question, one question that I wanted to ask is, and you and I have talked about this a lot, for NRAs, for instance, that are not doing any benefit risk assessment and would want to commence doing that assessment, would this tool present an opportunity for them to really kickstart the process? Or is there something else they'll probably need to do before they can use the tool?
Thanks, Comfort. The platform, the tool, is designed for that purpose, amongst others. So it's, again, based on a structured methodology from well-accepted authorities. And part of what we're delivering is not just a piece of software in the cloud, but actually a community of NRIs and other organizations that want to work together to improve the platform and actually to hone the purpose of it. For example, for onboarding new users or new BRA scientists. And to that end, I just want to share very, very quickly that the platform already comes with a detailed instruction set. It also, comes with, glossary to make it more user-friendly. And it also comes with prompts as you're using it. So if we have organizations that want to start to do BRAs, our intention actually is to use the platform also for training. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Dale. And in the interest of time, I will call the next speaker. And since we have a panel discussion after, then hopefully we will have an additional opportunity to interact and hear more from you about the tool and the platform, or the platform. So our next speaker is Dr. Laura Martin. Thank you, Dr. Laura. Good to see you. And Dr. Laura Martin will be speaking to us about the work that she does in USP. So she is the Vaccine Program Director in Global Health for the United States Pharmacopoeia. She's my colleague and next door neighbor, or next seat neighbor, actually, in the office. So Dr. Martin is she brings with her more than 20 years of experience in scientific and leadership issues and responsibilities, from the end-to-end development of vaccines, of poverty-related diseases in industry, government, and academia. And she has a passion for global health. In her role, Laura, as I call her, in her role at USP, she leads the development and implementation of USP's global health vaccine strategy to ensure access to quality assured, essential medical products with a focus, of course, on vaccines. Previously, she was responsible for portfolios of candidate vaccine projects, including those combating antimicrobial resistance, bacteria, and malaria. So Laura will be speaking to us today on leveraging the rollout of COVID-19 vaccines to strengthen pharmacovigilance systems in Africa, building on the work that USP had done or is doing to support COVID-19 vaccines in Africa and in Asia. Laura, the studio is all yours.
Thank you, Comfort. And there we go. All right. So thank you, Comfort, and USP is very grateful to AfriSummit for allowing me to introduce both the US Pharmacopoeia and to showcase our business as well as our global health activities to this pharmacovigilance audience. By way of introduction, USP is an independent scientific nonprofit organization. Simply to highlight, we are not a government agency, a US government agency, but our standards are codified into US law. And for more than 200 years, USP has provided a standard of trust in healthcare systems by working to ensure the quality, safety, and benefit of medical products used. USP headquarters is located just north of Washington, D.C., where both Comfort and I are based. But in addition, we have several sites across the U.S., as well as offices and staff in more than 20 countries around the world. To achieve our mission, USP relies upon the expertise of both its global staff and expert volunteers. Of our staff, approximately 40 are employed outside of the USA, and more than 15% of our staff directly support global health initiatives in resource-limited settings. Additionally, the work that we do is enhanced by scientific experts from academia, industry, regulatory, and healthcare sectors who form our volunteer communities. USP's core business, as you are likely aware, is ensuring trust in medical products through the development and use of accepted reference standards and supporting documentary resources and tools, such as the US Pharmacopoeia and the National Formulary. Biologic products, and this includes vaccines and monoclonal antibodies, are supported by 300 monographs which define the quality attributes of these products, 76 general chapters which provide information on test methods, relevant assays, impurities, and equipment. Each of these are underpinned by dedicated staff working in 2 state-of-the-art labs in the US and in India. During the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic, USP, guided by its expert volunteer committees, were asked to address key gaps and needs related to the regulation and safety of novel vaccines, vaccine technologies, and their use. We compiled, we compiled best practices and analytic procedures for manufacturing, testing, monitoring, and use of COVID-19 products. These included the development of vaccine handling guides, which defined the best needle and syringe combinations to optimize the number of doses from any particular vial, thus maximizing doses that could be delivered with limited supply. We also collated information and strategies on how to identify substandard and falsified vaccines and provided explicit examples on both valid and invalid packaging and containers. We also facilitated global adoption of best practices for vaccine characterization. COVID-19 vaccines, and particularly the use of the novel mRNA vaccine technology, identified gaps in both available methods and standards for vaccines. USP assembled available information on analytic methods common to various vaccine technologies into toolkits to support COVID-19 vaccine manufacture and regulatory authorization. This allowed manufacturers and the NRAs a shared understanding or benchmark for assessing the quality of these new novel products. Although USP is best known for providing documental and physical reference standards, for more than 30 years, our Global Health Division has been providing technical assistance to low and middle income countries. This has been predominantly through our Promoting of Quality Medicines Plus program and its predecessors. We are currently implementing projects in 15 countries, each championing equitable access to quality medical products. And a large number of these projects are conducted on the African continent. During this period, we have become a trusted partner to numerous donor agencies, providing technical assistance to strengthen health systems, meeting both the agency and country's needs. Through our state-of-the-art laboratories and offices in 20 countries, we support manufacturers, laboratories, and regulatory agencies in more than 90 low and middle income countries on 4 continents to support their health systems and to increase access to medical products which meet international standards. And we have done this through supporting a large number of manufacturers and products, quality control labs, as well as the national regulatory authorities. As new technologies and medical products, such as vaccines, are developed and introduced for use, industry standards and regulatory guidelines also need to be adapted accordingly. This helps to guarantee products meeting the accepted regulatory requirements, and USP partners with global and regional regulatory bodies, as well as other pharmacopoeias, to ensure uniform standards and requirements that are aligned. And this harmonization is critical to appropriate policy decisions, increased access, and patient trust. Our experience and global footprint provides USP with a unique understanding of the regional challenges that reduce access to quality medical products and allow USP to bridge needs and solutions identified at the continental, regional, and country level with stakeholder priorities and infectious disease needs, and to bridge and catalyze science-led, tailored technical assistance across the vaccine ecosystem. And this includes manufacturing, regulatory agencies, and laboratories with the ultimate aim of informed decision-making. Through funding from USAID, USP's Promoting of Quality Medicine Plus program has facilitated access to COVID-19 vaccines and related products in 13 countries. We have strengthened effective regulatory functions and systems in more than 40 national regulatory authorities, enhancing their understanding of vaccine regulation, and have advanced the regulatory maturity of the NRAs towards maturity level 3 using the WHO Global Benchmarking Tool. Over the next couple of slides, I will provide examples of a few of our positive outcomes in vaccines to give you an idea of the work we have done in pharmacovigilance, post-marketing surveillance, and regulatory harmonization. So initially, regulatory functions and system strengthening. In Burkina Faso, we reviewed and supported implementation of new emergency use authorization procedures, which allowed 350,000 COVID-19 vaccines to be imported and ultimately delivered into the arms of individuals that otherwise would not have been vaccinated. We enhanced safety data detection, collection, causality assessment, and reporting for active vigilance and post-marketing surveillance of these newly introduced COVID-19 vaccines in 8 different countries on the continent. As part of this support, Ethiopia has transitioned from being one of the lowest countries reporting adverse events following immunization to WHO Vigibase, and is now one of the top 3 reporting countries in Africa. In addition, this effort has shifted attention on national immunization programs solely from childhood vaccines and expanded surveillance systems to adult vaccines and positioning for wider pipeline development of vaccines manufactured on the continent. In terms of advancing regulatory maturity, under the USAID Global Vax initiative, we worked with NRAs in 6 countries poised to produce vaccines to advance their regulatory function capabilities towards ML3. We exposed African regulators and inspectors to Indian vaccine manufacturing facilities and their staff, and to promote South-South knowledge exchange and to facilitate a network of individuals who could support one another on how to effectively develop and regulate new products in the LMIC setting. Additionally, we worked with more than 15 national quality control labs to ensure operation at the level of quality and compliance as defined by international standards and accreditation. And in doing so, we upskilled their understanding of and capabilities for vaccine lot release. As part of this initiative, we also supported the African Medical Regional Harmonization to complete the development of a framework and a 5-year costed strategy for an African National Control Lab Reliance Network for the lot release of vaccine and other biological products. This initiative is the cornerstone that supports both the nascent African vaccine manufacturers and the maturing NRAs, but also the establishment of reliance networks across the continent. And the reliance networks are incredibly important to enhance the efficiency of resource utilization and reduce redundancy in product testing, lot release, and dossier review. In addition, USP is also an active member of the AMRH Technical Committee for African Vaccine Regulatory Forum, or AVAREF. These are just a few examples of the outcomes that USP has provided through our technical assistance. We are able to support additional needs across the vaccine ecosystem, and these areas are located on the left-hand side of this slide and include workforce development, biomanufacturing capabilities, regulatory system strengthening, laboratory competence, as well as quality practice and documental standards. On the right is a greater snapshot of the areas in which we work. I would encourage the audience to visit the online USP education portal for access to our training materials, which include webinars, on-demand, online, and in-person offerings, or to contact Comfort or myself to learn more about the tailored technical assistance available to your country and your teams. Ultimately, we aim to provide access to quality vaccines, but this can only be done through building solutions through strong and widespread collaborations, which involve industry, the global regulators, strategic collaborators, and stakeholders like yourself. And with that, I would like to thank you and ask you to do stay connected with USP and how we can support you and your journey as we move forward to greater vaccine and biological development on the African continent. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Laura, for your wonderful presentation and for sharing with us all the good work that USP is doing in vaccine area, in the vaccine space, and supporting all of the countries that we're working to support to develop their vaccine and indeed their regulatory systems. So I will have a quick question. I have a quick question for you, after which I will bring in the panel. So looking at the second to last slide that you shared, there was something about in the regulatory system strengthening work of MSH, my apologies, USP habits. In the regulatory system strengthening work of USP, there was a reliance. I saw reliance there. And I wanted you to speak to us a little more, given what we're talking about, new vaccines and safety surveillance of new vaccines. How does USP use that reliance mechanism to support or strengthen the surveillance of vaccines?
So really, all of the surveillance starts with, I guess, the key problem statement, which is the lack of harmonized assays and standards, which allow us to assess whether or not these vaccines are safe, whether they are producing unexpected adverse events following an immunization. And USP, as mentioned, has worked to identify the benchmark in terms of quality on which these vaccines are assessed by the manufacturer and reviewed by the regulators. In addition, there are also the tools which allow us to monitor the outcomes of these new vaccines against these standard benchmarks, against what is seen in other parts of the world. And so we provide the support to upskill the individuals who will be assessing these vaccines on the continent. So it starts with the quality of the product, but also through the workforce development and training and the competencies of the individuals to provide trusted decision-making.
Thank you. Trusted decision-making indeed is something that we need to be able to move us forward in pharmacovigilance, especially as we look at regional collaborations, as we look at South-South, North-South, South-North collaborations to enhance our pharmacovigilance and general regulatory processes. So with that said, I'll bring back Dale. And I have a brand new, not so brand new, but at least for this session, brand new speaker that will be joining us, Dr. Bassam. If you bring Dr. Bassam in as well as Dale, so that we can go into our panel discussion. Awesome. Thank you all. Nice to see you all here. And thanks for those of you that have been around. And thanks also to our audience that have stuck with us. And I promise you, this won't be long. We're getting to the end. So I'll just do a quick introduction of Dr. Bassam for this session. I know he's presented previously in other sessions, but this is our first time of having him here, and I would have the pleasure. I would definitely not miss the pleasure of introducing him. So Dr. Bassam Touama, I hope I got that right, is... okay.
Works good enough. Yeah, thank you.
Good. He's the CEO and founder of MD Pharma Consulting Group. He graduated in medicine and has worked in clinical medicine as an oncologist, in academia, in education, and capacity building industry and in the pharmaceutical industry over the past 25 years. His experience has been primarily in oncology, health economics and outcomes research, medical writing and scholarly communications, pharmacovigilance, clinical research, basic science research, continuous medical education, and continuous professional development. He holds an MSc degree in experimental therapeutics at the University of Oxford and an MSc degree in experimental medicine from McGill University, Canada. So I see you and Dale have something in common. And he has a PhD in health technology assessment from the University of Toronto, Canada. Toronto, I hear that's not Toronto. Toronto. I'm learning to speak like an American. Dr. Bassam is an experienced health economist. He's a skillful medical writer, a public health consultant at the WHO office in Cairo. He is the CEO and founder of MD Pharma Consulting, as we said, and he's the Chief Research and Medical Officer at BME AI Toronto, Canada. His areas of research are internal medicine, medical oncology, epidemiology, pharmacovigilance, health technology assessment, decision analysis, and benefit risk assessment. Indeed, you do have a lot in common with Dale. Now, Dr. Bassam, we thank you for coming here. And I wanted to give you like a few minutes. If you can take 5 minutes, I know your interest is around the mRNA vaccines. So if you would speak to our audience in just a few quick words about the mRNA vaccines, and then we can go into the questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Comfort. So it's a pleasure being with all of you. And as all of us know, the mRNA vaccines, it's a novel vaccine, a new biotechnology, new way of manufacturing vaccines, we have experienced the new mRNA vaccines during the global pandemic. So with the global pandemic, there has been like new vaccines that were launched to the market, and as we all know, we have seen the some of the let's say peculiar or novel adverse events following immunization that we did not experience before with the other live attenuated vaccines or inactivated vaccines. And that will probably bring us all into the first question, which I have to our speakers during this panel discussion. I'm just going to take a few steps back and ask both Dr. Dale and Laura, in your opinion, why do you think that we should be more vigilant with the novel COVID-19 mRNA vaccines compared to the regular traditional inactivated vaccines or the live attenuated vaccines?
Dr. Bassam, okay, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, just I was going to say I am the moderator here. I ask the questions.
Apologies for that. Apologies.
No, but that's okay. So we can give them a few minutes to answer your questions, and then I have questions for all of you.
Okay.
So, Laura, would you like to go?
Well, I would almost like to challenge the question itself, in that I don't think we need to be extra vigilant with these new vaccines. I think safety is paramount regardless of the product that is evaluated. In COVID-19 and mRNA vaccines, there was a change in the paradigm that caused us to address a different risk-benefit analysis with these mRNA vaccines than had been traditionally done for their use in other applications. So, we had a previously unrecognized virus. We had a large number of deaths, a huge impact on an economy, but we had experience from previous epidemics. We had this newer technology and innovation, which allowed rapid development and deployment of a much needed vaccine. And there was that global desire and willingness to address business as usual. Now, that business as usual really required that the product be of a certain standard of quality and it have a certain safety. But because of the unknowns, there was a willingness to accept perhaps a little more risk from this unknown, unrecognized disease than previous. And so I think it comes down to rethinking our return on investments and how we employ pharmacovigilance to assess new and novel products. And this involves then that addressing of a more risk-based approach. And I hope Dale will be able to follow on from that comment.
I'll make a brief comment. So as I mentioned, we work with the Brighton Collaboration, SPEAK, which is a safety platform for emergency vaccine preparedness, and with CEPI, who funds all of us, which is the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations. I just wanted to share that if you go to speaksafety.net, you'll be able to find a group of products related to vaccine safety. One of those product groupings is related to safety profiles of the vaccines. What's interesting about that is that they're organized by platform. So I'll just share the perspective that the COVID mRNA vaccines reside on a new platform versus the old, which was part of that question. And it's interesting for us to take a step back and to understand the differences in adverse events that we observe by platform, not necessarily by vaccine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dale and Laura, for responding to that. Dr. Bassam, I'm going to put the spotlight right back on you because you are the person I wanted to ask a question related to that. And my question is that, many people, especially with COVID-19 vaccines, of course, in these parts of the world, we saw a lot of skepticism from people, particularly around the speed with which those vaccines came out, So people were concerned about the safety of the vaccine and how quickly it was introduced. I'm sure you've heard that almost everywhere you go. Now, given your background in PV and in health technology assessment and benefit risk assessment, can you explain to us how the mRNA vaccines shifted the paradigm, around developing and introducing new vaccines? And of course, how that has affected the way and strategies that we can implement to monitor the safety of not just COVID-19 vaccines, because a lot of vaccines moving forward are going to be building on this new platform. So how has that, or is that going to shift things in the way we monitor the vaccines?
Well, thank you very much, Comfort, for your question. It's an interesting one. So as we have mentioned a minute earlier, the paradigm of vaccinovigilance has shifted with the new COVID and the new pandemic and the new novel vaccines which were launched in the market. There has been regulatory updates. Now, these regulatory updates simply reflect the interplay between and how the national regulatory authorities have dealt with or have interacted with global organizations like the WHO, for example. So I've worked with the WHO for some time, and the way it worked is that the national regulatory authorities, like they check for the adverse events following immunization, adverse events, especially the adverse events of special interest, like the myocarditis, which Dale has reflected on in his presentation, the venous thromboembolic events, something like the cytokine storm, which happened with some of the mRNA vaccines. And although that the number of events related to these vaccines were few, there were not a lot. Yet they were endorsed to the regional networks that belong to the WHO, and then they had to be. I guess Dale, he works with Brighton, so you have a department that works on the case definitions for the adverse events following immunization and adverse events of special interest. So this comes as an intermediary step before being communicated to the global, the WHO Global Vaccine Safety Committee. So wrapping it up, there has been a lot of steps that were not taken before. There has been a lot of communications to and fro starting from the national regulatory authorities all the way up to the WHO Global Vaccine Safety Committee. And the purpose of all of that is to make sure that the benefit risk assessment at the end of these vaccines is in favor of their benefit, and hence the continuous authorization of giving these vaccines to the public.
All right.
Comfort, can I just highlight the importance of those accumulated data sets, both in the product quality as well as the safety and clinical aspects that facilitate the faster development, the more expeditious regulatory reviews, and ultimately enable the mRNA technology to move forward more as a platform. And so allowing that potential future plug and play and response to epidemic or pandemic preparedness. So the information that this group is collecting and their observations are paramount to the use of these new and novel technologies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laura. And staying with you, Laura. So there's something Dr. Bassam mentioned. He said something about there are steps that are taken now that haven't been taken before with respect to surveillance of COVID-19 vaccines or the new platform vaccines. And I just wanted to follow up with you on that. What steps do you see USP taking to, further enhance the surveillance activities as it relates to particularly new vaccines that are in the pipeline, that are being developed, and are surely, some of them are surely going to be hitting the LMIC markets alone or concurrently, again, as we saw with COVID-19 vaccines?
Again, this comes back to a lot of the technical assistance that USP can and is willing to provide in providing and supporting the use of novel tools and understanding of both risk-based assessments across a product pipeline, as well as the vigilance support that is required to ensure that these data sets can be populated and have accurate data and information. There will be continued rollout of many of our toolkits. They are becoming de-COVIDized, so applicable to vaccines beyond COVID-19. So that they can be applied to perhaps other variants or other appropriate vaccines and technologies. And as well, I think it's, again, important to highlight that COVID has not only enabled countries to address gaps in their regulatory systems, but it's taken many countries beyond their EPI immunization programs and now have systems in place which allow them to monitor and address adult vaccination, which will be becoming more popular as technologies advance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laura. Thank you for sharing that. So Dale, thank you. I come to you. And So Brighton Collaboration, which you represent here, as well as Speak and as well as Thrive AI. So Brighton particularly is known for providing standardized, validated, and objective methods, right, for monitoring vaccine safety and benefit risk profiles. So I'm wondering, how did that rapid introduction of COVID-19 vaccines, in the light of what we've been discussing, how did it challenge the team's ability to really deliver like new case definitions, provide new tools and new guidance for safety monitoring, and then bringing it home to you, in particular, the work that you do with technology? How can we leverage, or how were you able to leverage, technology to provide the support that was needed at that time and then moving forward?
Thanks, Comfort. I would say that it was a shock to the case definition business, if you will. And it's really only been in the several months subsequent to the peak of the pandemic that Brighton and partners have been able to assess what happened and how to make improvements. So let me share just a couple of quick points. One thing that we're introducing right now is the concept that all Brighton products and Speak products are treated as products with a product life cycle with near regulatory grade processes. So they're not, regulatory approved products, but it doesn't mean that we can't adopt some of those best practices. So across an entire life cycle, we could do quality assurance and to have standardized processes. The second thing that was quite evident is that the time frame needed to release the first product is really in days and not in months or years. And so adopting best practices from case definition development for a novel agent, a novel pathogen, which you have to do in a day or two or three and keep refining it, we actually are adopting that same paradigm and saying, when you release vaccine at that rate, it's almost like a second pandemic that is twinning along with the actual pathogen pandemic. And we can treat that therefore we can borrow the same methods we use for the pathogen. In other words, create a case definition the best you can, learn more, refine it. That is the only way to do this going forward. And then the last point I'll make, which I find very interesting from a data scientist and informatician and epidemiologist, all slammed together, is the reality that today there are rapidly emerging diverse types of data and data sources. So whether it's a cohort event monitoring approach where you can go out and collect data very rapidly, very cost effectively for adverse events, or whether it's large EHR data sets that are emerging that are federated in many different countries and the analysis are done in a distributed or federated way, or whether it's insurance or payer related data, or it's chart review in a country in Africa. These are all different types of data and data elements, which means if you create a single case definition, it's not going to function optimally across all these different kinds of data sets and geographies and methods. So what we're doing that's very exciting is we're actually evolving a case definition service, which helps to document all of these, contextualize them, and allow the end user, especially during a pandemic or an epidemic, to access these and understand what's emerging and how they can be used and how they might be comparable. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. So I'll look through the panel if there is anybody who has one last thought or a final thought that they want to share. Otherwise, I'm done with drilling you guys, and I'm happy to let you go. But if you have a final thought, we can take that. Any takers?
Thank you. I felt like I just had my chance for my final thought. Thank you very much, Comfort.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So with that, I think we can safely close the session and say a huge thank you to all of the speakers. We also thank our audience for listening to us. And we're really grateful to AfriSummit to the organizers for this wonderful summit that we've had a chance to discuss and share ideas. And so we look forward to seeing you all, hopefully next year at the next summit. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madhuri, are we bringing up the board?
Hello, hello.
Hello. I think
Welcome
it was
back, everyone.
two full days, yeah? Comprehensive days.
We hope that you as an audience have enjoyed the 2 days. I think on behalf of the moderators, I can say it's been a success, but of course we want to hear from you. And I think this would be nice to address if there are any further maybe questions from the audience, but also any further maybe takeaways from each of our sessions.
Perhaps if I may, Wilhelmine, I think one of the things I'd love to share, and I think it was a reflection that I always see when we have the summit, is the wonderful innovations we see the different entities coming up with and how they filter through. And each year we just see constant improvement in this arena. And for me, I always find it astounding because you think we've got to the edge and then there's just more. And one of the things specifically from the session that I moderated, I thoroughly enjoyed the way the delegates shared their best practices, their achievements and their challenges. But how in sharing those messages, the different entities are able to take away from each other. And each year we see how they use each other's enhancements and each other's successes for their own benefit. So for me, I think that's always a wonderful thing. And obviously, I think we all feel with the panels we work with, you walk away with beautiful friendships that you actually continue to use beyond the summit. When you have tackles or you have things that you need to achieve, these are the people you go to. So the summit has a much bigger impact than just the 2 days. It's the journey afterwards and between the summits.
Yeah, I would agree. I would like to, because I think it will be nice if we are able to share with the audience our takeaways from our sessions. But I'd be interested, before we go into that, to hear from you individually, because I have 2 key words that I have felt throughout the 2 days. And I wonder if each one of you could share with the audience 2 words that you feel have inspired the 2 days that come in your mind. So maybe Jayesh, you can, if I can put you on the spot, ask you to share the 2 words.
2 words are too few, but maybe if I resonate, there's a lot of future in Africa, the way I say it. Top quality research, top levels of activities that we are seeing from both the health authorities as well as the market authorization holders, right? So I'm happy that we are truly getting up there. And more important, from the Emerging Africa session, both health authority representatives said the whole intention is not punitive. It's joining hands to learn together for a better patient safety future. That's my
absolutely
2 words.
Yes,
2
totally
words. Ahmed, do you have Maybe because I think we all agree with everything Jayesh has just said. Would you have, I'll try again, 2 words?
Okay, it will be a little bit more than 2 words, but I see a continuous improvement, not just in our AFRI Summit, because I'm joining it since the beginning, but I see the continuous improvement from the regulatory updates that we heard and the activities that is performed everywhere. And I see that our maturity levels are moving forward, and there is more leverage, and it will come even more and more. I see that the level of quality in pharmacovigilance is improving. We need to reach the level of readiness. I know it's a quite long path, but probably I feel that we are in the track and we are moving. I look for more, and I will put 3 words: more collaboration, more digitalization, and more harmonization.
Thank you. Thank you. Comfort?
Yeah, for me, I think it's similar to what most Jayesh and Ahmed have said. This time around, unfortunately, most of yesterday's interesting sessions, I missed them, but I was on for most of today, and there were a lot of interesting discussions and presentations. But I was particularly struck by how pharmacovigilance centers have kind of moved forward, right? We don't see, yes, we did see a few of the, okay, this number of reports is what we got, and, you know, a focus on that. But I saw a movement towards, you know, more kind of robust, reporting of more robust pharmacovigilance tasks that are being performed. There's a lot of, maybe also because I was in the inspection session, there was a lot of, you know, talk about the pharmacovigilance inspection that many of the NRAs are doing. And that's really interesting, because I feel like in doing that, then they really get to build their capacity, right? Because you can't even assess somebody unless you know what you're looking for. And even if you don't know what you're looking for, in doing that, then you realize that, oh, I need to know this, right? So I was quite impressed about that level of robustness or growth that pharmacovigilance centers in Africa are beginning to show. So that was impressive. And I also, in other sessions, at least in the one I anchored, I see a lot of prospects for safety monitoring of vaccines. I was particularly impressed with not in my session, but Zimbabwe, the work that they do in relation to vaccines, and how they're kind of systematically, you know, building evidence, and whatever they do, they make sure that they have some evidence to back it up. And I would really love to see more and more centers going in that direction, you know, doing studies, generating evidence from what you do, and using that to strengthen future work. But overall, I think it's been a fantastic summit.
Thank you. Judy?
So I will stick to 2 words, but only because you gave me an opportunity before. So I think the key thing, and it ties into what a lot of people have said, it's the cutting edge and the passion. I think as Africans, we've got such great passion. And that came through so many of the presentations that we saw, you know, just people that are passionate about what they do and making a difference to serve the patients in their country. So really, yeah, thank you.
And I'll share my 2 words. I had progress and enthusiasm, and I think they've been reflected throughout the 2 days. But I also believe the fact that we've had so many experts, regulatory representatives on the 2 days, really shows that there is this hunger for collaboration and moving forward. And I think pharmacovigilance is evolving, as we saw in the session on AI, at all levels. So it's a huge work in progress. But what we have seen, I think, over the 2 days, that there is truly enthusiasm from all the stakeholders to try and work forward and create not only at national level, but also at regional level, these strong frameworks to just ensure that we are able to get products to patients in a safe way and are able to obtain safety data. So I think the future is really bright, hard work, I am sure, but from my perspective, it's been really quite incredible. I'm just looking at the points made. Okay, we covered that. Are there any other thoughts? I don't know, Madre, if anyone from the audience had provided some comments for us to address.
No, just a comment from, sorry, I can't see that, from Novo Nordisk, but let me just read the name. Netsanet from Novo Nordisk, excellent summit. I've learned a lot throughout the 2 days. Thank you very much to the board. So I think just an overview. Thank you. I had a couple of comments earlier. After each session, there's a thank you. Thank you very much for the informative information. Really appreciate everything that's been done. So thank you very much to the board for all the hard work behind the scenes that guided this summit, the information that we received, bringing in speakers that we haven't met before. It was an absolute honor to work with you in your respective fields. And I'm so grateful for everything that you as a board has done and what we have been able to reach AfriSummit PV with. Thank you so much.
Madri, well-deserved,
is the word.
yeah, well-deserved applause to Madri and the team.
Yes.
Not just the speakers, moderators, advisors, but the team behind the scene. Without you, we will not reach such a level of success. And as usual, and as expected from you, Madri and the team in Hub Plus and PRA and everyone, really big thank you.
Thank you very much, Robbie, Asif, Ray, and Sean in our team, Ragat, and then my directors, Dr. Muna and Dr. Najiba. Thank you very much for this opportunity for us to work with this AfriSummit. And we're very excited to tell you that next year we'll go on site and hope you all can make it in Cairo. We'll absolutely let you know the date soon. But yeah, take me away. I don't want to be in the middle of it. I want everybody to be together. It's more fun this way. So I can see everybody. You guys have been instrumental and I really appreciate everything you've done. And thank you so much. And thank you to the audience that joined and their comments. Thank you so much.
One last comment.
The tech team behind. Sorry, tech team, Praveen. And Lancy, thank you so much. Okay.
Madre, maybe one very last one from my side.
Please do.
If we look at the theme for this year, for the AfriSummit, I think we've 110% lived to it. It said for a healthier future for Africa. Right? So superb job.
Thank you so much. And let's work towards that as all of us are Africans, except Wilhelmine. Wilhelmine will have to get you honorary South African.
I need to change passports. But the other thing that I would like to share is that I know as individuals, but even together, we all have a lot of years of experience, but there is still so much to learn. And I think coming together like this really allows, regardless of 20, 15, 30 years experience in pharma or in pharmacovigilance, it just shows that there is still so much to do and to learn. And I think that is a really positive from an educational perspective when we come together like this. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And I think that's it, a wrap for us for AfriSummit PV, but AfriSummit as a whole. It's been a very long journey all the way from Cairo, ending up with everybody online. And thank you very much, everybody. AfriSummit, we'll see you guys next year in Cairo. And let us work towards the future, the healthier future of Africa. Thanks, JS. That's a great thing. Let's work towards a healthier future for Africa for all. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.